Tumfakli'u, idojundi ahola tumfakli'u. Dojundi, you are paying attention. Aho, hopefully. La tumfakli'u to tumfakli'u. Tumfakli'u, idojundi ahola tumfakli'u. Here's a new word I just learned, Lojbanistan. Apparently it's been around since at least 2020, but I hadn't heard it before until Lalchu said, we were talking about liquid smoke, and Lalchu said, Husanso, is it a sauce? Imi puhi jukpa, I have cooked, sipiho no Lojisma litki. Lojisma means similar to what has been discussed recently. The MSA at the end seems to come from Simsa, similar, and the Lao is like, we use Lao for Lahedihu, the reference of what was just said, the referent of what was just said, Lahedihu, or just Lao these days. So I think Lojimtsa is from that. It means like they're related to what you just said. Similar to something that you was just mentioned. Imi puhijuk pasapiho no Lojimsa litki. I have cooked using no liquids that are similar to what was just said. Ikuhimi nelshi le danmo vrusi. But I like nelshi le danmo vrusi, smoke flavor. Ichusanso, is it a sauce? Imi puhijuk pasapiho no Lojimsa litki. Imi puhi juk pasapiho no Lojimsa litki. Ikuhi minelshi le danmo vrusi, but I like the smoke flavor. I haven't used this mentioned liquid, but I like smoke flavor. Ichusanso. Imi puhi juk pasapiho no Lojimsa litki. Ikuhi minelshi le danmo vrusi. So I have been informed that I made an error. Uhu mistrera. Sorry, I made an error. Uhu means that you're sorry about something, and strera means to make an error. Uhu mistrera. I said that barduku means chess, but obviously it's chachmadi that means chess. Chachmadi means to play chess, and barduku means to play go. Barduku go, chachmadi chess. Uhu mistrera, fauhu, forgive me. Okay, as penance, I have found a proper sentence that does in fact have chachmadi chess. This is from Jean Be. Jean Be said, Uhe. That's a bit unusual. Ilepu srisazo humitroshi loka shrebiho dohe lo chachmadi. Chachmadi. Chess. Shrebiho dohe lo chachmadi. To become more expert in chess, to get better at chess. Imi shrebiho ruhe. I only got better a little. Mi shrebiho ruhe. So ruhe, like ruble, weekly, is marking the shrebiho, the main verb of the sentence. Mi shrebiho ruhe. I got more expert. Shertu expert. Biho, binho, become. So shrebiho is to become an expert, but then it's marked with ruhe, so just become expert a little bit. Imi shrebiho ruhe. Ikuhi mi zaho tol shrevau. Uhi, but I further than you would expect, beyond the natural ending point, zaho, there's just two repositions of zaho, just like some emphasis, beyond natural ending point, tol shre, the opposite of expert, tol from tohe, opposite expert, tol shre, tohe shertu, vow, and closes off the sentence so that uhi, I'm amused by that, can apply to the whole thing. The whole kuhi mi zaho zaho tor shrevao. So, Uhe. A little bit unusual. What was it? I don't know what they were talking about, but something someone said was a little unusual or remarkable. Uhe. Ilepuzi Shrisa, this past summer, Zohu. Mitroshi Lokashrebiho, I tried to get better at. Dohet la Chachmari at chess. Imishrebiho Ruhe, I got a little bit better. Ikuhi Mizaho Zahu Tor Shrevau Uhi. But I'm still not very good. Lol. Uhe. Ilepuzi Shrisa Zohu. Mitroshi lo kastrebiho dohe lo chachmari. Imishrebiho ruhe. Ikuhi mizaho zaho tol shrevau. Uhi. Here's an old song that I wrote long ago. Izo we. Izo we. Izo zo we. Izo zo we. Izo we. Izo we. Izo Izo we. I think it's a very Lojbanic song because it's about the song. It's about happiness, about the words that the song consists of. It should there's lots of we saying we. I'm happy about all of the words in the song about feeling happiness, but mainly at the beginning and ending is feeling happiness about the sentence fence, the sentence link, the word you put between sentences. That's one of the most Lojbanic words. It's one of the first words that you learn that you're like, it does a what? What does it mean? It's a huh? So it's the song goes, it starts so I guess there's an empty sentence at the beginning of the song. It just starts and then zo, quote the next word, the word zo we. I'm happy about that. We. Izo we. Izo we. And then also the word zo, that's a cool word too. That word lets you quote a word. That's super cool. So I'm happy about that too. So it's split off to another sentence from the first sentence about how being happy about the word you say to go to another sentence about being happy about the word zo, the word that lets you quote words. Zo, the word zo. Izo zo we. Izo zo we. And then also there's happiness about the word we, because it lets you express how you're happy. That's cool. I'm happy about the word we. Izo we. And then another round of being happy about the sentence fence one of the most Lojban words there is. Izo we. Izo we. Izo zo we. Izo zo we. Izo we. Izo we. Izo Izo we. Bolshi means ball. I made a song with Srana in it. It goes Ina hemute loka Srana. It's not very relevant. It's not very much about Ina hemute loka Srana. You have to be careful not to start too fast though, because then there get to be way too many syllables later, so you gotta start slow. Ina hemute loka strana, ina hemuche loka, ina muche loka strana, ina hemuche loka strana, ina hemuche loka strana, ina hemuche loka sraha. That's sel raha Raha. Raha from Srana. So Raha means like about what does that mean? So it's the thing that's a thing is about, kind of being about. I don't know. I guess I just took it for this. I don't know if that means something. It sort of does, doesn't it? It feels like it means something. Ina hemucha the casa raha raha. Ina hemucha the casa raha raha raha. Ina hemucha lokastrana. Ina hemucha lokastrana. That's not very relevant. Is that really about this? What I try to mean by that song? Eyeglasses is Lahoti lens tool, but I just learned a new word a new to me word, eyewear in general, kartahu, just eye garment, because like it's not necessarily a lens tool. If it's just like sunglasses or whatever, kartahu, eye garment. The first thing you might learn that zhukni means is spider, but actually lots of things are zhukni, not just spiders. Spiders are zhukni, and any arachnid, crustaceans, crabs, lobsters, all kinds of stuff are zhukni. So, but zhukni that live in the ocean are chasa zhukni. So that's just crabs, lobsters, crayfish, shrimp, krill, any sort of marine crustacean. Chasa zhukmi from chamsisi, chasa zhukmi. And if you wanted to say specifically a crab, there's a word I just learned, karkino. That's a pretty word for crab, karkino. So you could call a crab a zhukni, because it's a kind of zhukni, but people might think you mean spider. But you could call it a chasa zhukni, a sea zhukni, which is more specific, but still could be a lobster or a crayfish. So a specific word for crab is karkino. Did you know that shahe can take a shahu? I just learned this today. I didn't even know that. Shahe is a newish word that says that where you can tag on another thing that happened at the same time. And there's also puhe for something if you want to tag something that happened in the past, or something, and bahe if you want to tag something that happened in the future. And you get a whole sentence inside. It opens up another breedy inside of the shahe that you can close it at the end with kuhau, right? I think kuhau. And no wait, kuhe. It has its own special terminator. Kuhe. Bahe kuhe, shahe kuhe. That's right. And also, I just learned the way it works is you get a shehu inside of the shahe sentence in there. You can put a shehu, and that goes out to the X1 of the containing breedy. John Be, who is the inventor of shahe, kindly provided some example sentences. Mi viska do shahe bajra, I saw you while I was running. And so in that we have an implied shehu. It's shahe shehu bajra, while shehu was bajra running. Mi viska do, so mi is in the X1. Mi viska do shahe bajra, which implies shahe shehu bajra, shahe shebajra, while X1, me, I saw you while I was running. And then another example, mi viska do shahe do bajra zoha shehu. I saw you while you ran past me. Do bajra zoha shehu. You ran by shehu. Mi viska do shahe do bajra zoha shehu. So the X1 is still the me in the mi viska do sentence, and then shahe has its own sentence inside of it, the do bajra zoha shehu sentence, and the shehu in that is the me. So you ran past me. Do bajra zoha shehu. Mi viska do shahe bajra, I saw you while I was running. Mi viska do shahe do bajra zoha shehu, I saw you while you ran past me. So that's an example of how to use Jahu in our new exciting way of marking something that happened at the same time or earlier or later. Shahe and Puhe and Bahe. Basic little five letter shapes in Lojban called Gismu. There used to be a thing where people would be keksha about not letting you make Gismu, like keksha is an example. That's a 5-letter word, keksha, that they would not have let you make. They would have been keksha about you making the word keksha, and they didn't. For instance, they were mean if ever anybody tried to say pizza, because they were like, I'm not sure I agree that if the gismu are supposed to be only basic fundamental concepts, that it shouldn't include the concept of pizza. Is pizza not a fundamental concept? I think a pizza is pretty fundamental, but back then people were like, no, don't say pizza. So you had to say like shidra pizza, which is fine and makes it clear that you're talking about a food, which is pretty clear by how you're talking about pizza though. So it's a little extra to say shidra in the beginning. Shidra food, so shidra pizza. And but then a much cuter solution, somebody thought of a much cuter solution, which is it's a little word. If you take the I and P in pizza and turn them around, then you can say ipza, which is allowed, and because it's a fuhivla that's shaped like ipza, that's borrowed from pizza, and you turn around the I and P because you're not allowed to say pizza. But and now you are allowed to say pizza. There's nothing wrong with saying pizza, so just go ahead and say pizza if you want. Or I mean, you can totally still say ipza. I still love the word ipza. It sounds super cute, and it's got this whole history to it, and it's a distinctively shaped and sounding word. So that's the one I would go with. Shidra pizza, super traditional and clear. Pizza, just pizza. Or Ipza, that's cute, right? Or there's some Lojba you could use. I don't know, things with this. People used Pete because Pete means like flat, right? So then they thought it was like punny to put Pete in the word for, like, make Pete nanba flatbread, and then be like, yeah, that's the word for pizza, and it has Pete in it. They were trying to be clever and fun about how people were being keksha about you ever saying pizza. But also, not to be keksha or anything, and do whatever you want, but it's kind of different with pasta, because there is just not an actual, sort of a more actual reason why not to just say pasta, which is that we do something called gimraf rimna, which is, rimni means rhyme, so in the word gimraf rimna, gismu rafsi rhyming, it uses rimna instead of rimni, which is what you can do in gimraf rimna, so it makes sense to do that in the word for gimraf rimna. You can, as well as saying rimni, you can say rimna or rimno or rimnu or rimne, and any of the gismu you can do that. Like, you can, instead of saying gismu, you can say gisma. And you can do that conversationally if you want, and people will understand you that you're gimraf rimna, unless they're very new, they might be confused. But hopefully we're getting people up to speed right now, right? Okay, everybody up to speed, so you can gimraf rimna. So, if you want to, instead of saying shusku, you can say shuska, or instead of saying skuna, you can say skuni. Me schooning day. I say this sentence, but like it changes say to it's scoony instead of skuna. You can do that to any of the gismu anytime you want. And so that's fun and good for rhyming and stuff, and we like that and it's fun. But then there is a gismu pastu. Pastu means a robe. Pastu. So since there's a robe, that means that we can also say pasti, pasta, and pasto, and pasta. And pasta. And so we've already decided that because of gimraf rimna, that pasta will be a cute word for robe, for if you want to rhyme robe with something or whatever. So so then, you can say shidra pasta. There's that. Or there's a Lojban for pasta. The main Lojban for pasta is Tumfakli'u. Tam from tarmi, shape. Chri from machri, wheat. Shape wheat. Isn't that what pasta is? Right. Shape wheat. So that's a perfectly good word. Tumfakli'u. Or I made a word for pasta, and I think that nobody paid attention to my word for pasta. My word for pasta is asta, which is the other cute thing we do when there's something like confusing or whatever about one of the gizmo. You can make a word by just taking off the first letter. Often, not always, but often. That would there's the gizmo that start with a cluster at the beginning. But if it's a kind with a cluster in the middle, then you can take off the first word and you get a vowel, consonant vowel word. Like you take off one of them that happened to is boatpi, because what boatpi means is a boatpi is a word for bottle, but it specifically is, let me make sure I get this right, a bottle, jar, urn, flask, closable container for X2 made of X3 with lid X4. So because a boatpi is to boatpi is a relationship between like a thing and holding stuff and a lid. Only a thing with a lid is a boatpi, technically. I mean, hopefully these days no people won't be upset if you call something without a lid a boatpi. It's okay. But also, just because we were thinking about it, we were thinking, wait, so if that means that if you take a lid off of something, does it stop being a boatpi? We were just having fun thinking philosophically about language and stuff. We were like this, so it stops being a boatpi, and it's just like a former boatpi now. And that's when we made up the word otpi. If you take off the B off of boatpi, bottle, you get otpi. And an otpi is just like a bottle-shaped thing. So I think it's super cute how if you take a boatpi and you take the lid off, like you've got like one of those soda cans where you just take off the lid and it's not supposed to go back on, and you just transform the boatpi into an otpi. And you take off the lid like taking off the B off of the otpi. So, which one were we... What were we talking about that's like that? Oh, asta. I made a word, asta, which is a different word that isn't pastu, which means robe. Pasta. Pasta is a robe because it's the same as pastu. But this is my definition for asta. I said this is such an elegant part. Part of the reason why nobody learned the word asta is we only defined it in Lojban, because this definition in Lojban is so elegant that I couldn't bring myself to translate it into English. The definition in Lojban, this is just exactly what I meant for asta to mean, is nu boha poi Tumfakli'u bohe shu sesanso bohike je chashi fa boho. That part at the end is the part that's weird and makes it hard to translate. But nu boha poi Tumfakli'u. So we're talking about an event of boha x1, which is Tumfakli'u, shape wheat pasta. So a boha is a pasta, and it's Tumfakli'u bohe. The bohe is the second place of Tumfakli'u, which is the shape. So it's pasta in shape X2. Shu sesanso bohi, so there's an event of pasta that's shaped like X2 having a sauce on it X3. The sanso sauce on it is X3. And then K closes off the event je. So this is both that event je chashi. That event is customary. Like there's not, whereas chashi is like a habit, a ritual, a custom, a thing that you repeat regularly or in a situation. So nu boha poi Tumfakli'u bohe shu sesanso bohike. That whole thing, that whole event of the pasta being a particular shape and having a particular sauce is also je chashi, is also a custom, and fa boho. So the boho, the X4, is the custom and the event. The event of the pasta being in that shape and having that sauce on it, which is a custom. It's a thing that happens, like putting that pasta with that sauce and the other things around it are, I mean, this definition doesn't have everything I think I mean to have in the vla ruhi, the word spirit. Valsi vla ruhi pruhi, spirit. Word spirit, Vlaruhi. The Vlaruhi of a word is not just like what it means, like this is what the word means, but like there's more to a word than what you are able to write down about what it means or what has been written down so far about what it means. And that also passes along with the word. It's Vlaruhi, it's spirit. The spirit of the word also passes along with it. So this, I mean for there to be in the Vlaruhi of this, that the ve'asta, that's how you can just say ve'asta, with there's a pause between ve and asta, ve'asta, but if you want to attach the ve to the asta, it's kind of funny how you do that. You put like V-E apostrophe Y apostrophe A-S-T-A. So Vahasta. That's just, you know, I mean, you don't like have to do that. That's just like fancy Lojban way of talking. That's sort of like that particular word sounding like that isn't that it just sort of fell out of wait, I don't even know. I think you can say that, but more normal than that is velahasta. V-E-L-Y apostrophe A-S-T-A. Velahasta. Because it just falls out of how the Jorge system for you can connect anything. Because you can put the vel for ve and you put an after it so that you can attach it with an apostrophe to how it starts with an A and the asta. Velahasta. I'm trying to explain it to you, but you can tell that I have to like think about how it works, because you can, once you get used to it, it just sounds right. It actually sounds better than it looks. It looks kind of weird with all those apostrophes and Y's and stuff, but then when you're saying something like velahasta, it doesn't seem as weird to say as it looks. So, but anyway, you can also say ve'asta, and the ve'asta is supposed to be like the, you know, the thing that happens. You know, you like have pasta, like Wednesday being Prince Spaghetti night. Not to make this a Venanoi for Prince Spaghetti. This is not a Veshnusel Ven Nochi Note Noi Venanoi. This is not a Venanoi for Prince Spaghetti, but you know the thing of having where they tried to do with the Venanoi they had for Prince Spaghetti, where they were like, Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti night. If you're not American and my age, I guess you probably don't, but there was a thing, and they were trying to make a ve'asta. But like in real life, people have ve'asta where they're like, you know, we always make this kind of sauce. This is always the kind of sauce we put on the pasta. That's what I mean to put. That's the Vlaruhi. I tried to explain a little more of the Vlaruhi that I mean to put into asta, which is, and then so that's one word I tried to add, and then a more usual word is to say shidshur pasta. It's pretty usual to say the whole shidshur when you're talking about pasta, shidshur pasta, or just to say tamchri, because that is a nice shape wheat. Makes sense, and that's a cute, it comes out cute, tamchri. So people say that a lot, tamchri. But do try out my new word, my old word that people have ignored all the time. So I'm reintroducing it now as an exciting newly reintroduced with exciting new Vlaruhi. Try it out today. Asta. A word for zoo is mivdalmuzga. Miv, jmive, living, dal, danlu, animal, muzga, museum, living animal museum, mivdalmuzga. Once we were having a conversation about kevna, a hole. Boha is a hole in boha, and some people were like, Well, can a kevna go all the way through something? I'm not sure it can, because isn't a kevna just like a hole, as in like a depression in something, like a space in one side of something? I think it's different if it's a hole all the way through something. I don't know if that's true. I think a kevna can be a hole all the way through something, but just in case, in that conversation, I thought of a word for a hole that definitely does go through something. A hole that definitely can be a hole through that is a hole through something is an odbo. It's it's from the shape of the word. If you think about, there's the O and the D and the B and the O, and it's like a hole that goes through the O's, and then the D and B form together the thing that the odbo hole goes through. That's the origin of the word odbo, it's a little picture that I drew with the letters. I just learned another Tokipona word that Lojban borrowed. There's the Lojban word Yanlawa. I-N-L-A-U-A. Yanlawa. X1 is X2's guide, mentor, boss, leader, ruler. It's big because it's from Tokipona. Yan, person, lawa, head. Yanlawa. Okay, I think we have not yet covered jbopotato. Using po in place of ku and ne in place of kuhau is called jbopone. And I made a picture of a pony long ago as a word bubble saying potavla for Lojbane freely, something like that. It's easy to speak in Lojban. Potavla for Lojbane freely. This is an example of jbopone. And jbopotato is just using te as the terminator instead of ne. We give them names, and sometimes in English we call them dialects, but these are not in fact dialects. There's a term in Lojban, bankle, language class of language. Bangu, ban, and kle from klesi, a class of things. So a bankle is just what sort of language you're using, and these are all different bankle, but they're not really dialects in the linguistic sense. That's a funny Lojban dialect term, like experimental. Experimental in Lojban means like anything invented in the 2000s is all called experimental. But that's just a funny word we say in English about Lojban, and this is not. Jbopotato is not a dialect. It is a silly, funny name for saying te instead of ne for the terminator. So in jbopone you say potavla for Lojbane freely. To speak in Lojban is easy, and in jbopotato you would say potavla for Lojbobaute freely. Just that. Potavla for Lojbobaute freely. And here's an example of it in the wild from a while ago. I said Ichenandu do fapokibro stus fijundi oidai. Is it hard for you? Ichenandu do fapokibro to Kibro cyber. Kibro means like anything internet related, but it's K-I-B-R-O, like it's from cyber. Kibro. Kibro Stusfi, a teach appointment. Stusfi. Stu from Stusha, teach. Svi from Svita. Svita is a newish word meaning appointment. So a teach appointment. Stusfi. Jundi, I mean class, you know. Stusfi, that means class, probably. Jundi attend. Oidai. Ichunandudo, is it hard for you? Fapokibro Stusfi Jundi to cyber class attend. Oidai. Someone feels pain. presumably you, because you feel pain about having trouble. Ich nandudo fapokibro shtusvi jundi oidai. And then Jean Bet responded, Mi zohu gohi. As for me, that, what you just said. Ikuhi nandumi, but it's hard for me, nandumi, fapo zierli shtusvi. In real life, zierli, IRL, zierli shtusvi, class attend, te jiha. And then a little spiral eyes emoji. Ikuhi nandumi, hard for me, fa posierli shtusvi te. To real life class attend also, jiha. Ichu nandudo fapo kibro shtusvi oidai. Mizohu gohi. Ikuhi nandumi fapo zierli shtusvi te jiha. Imi makshu, imi kakne lose gasnu, imi makshu. Imi makshu, mature, adult. I'm an adult, imi makshu. Imi kakne, I am able to do lose gasnu, the things that are done. The things that someone does, I am able to do them. Imi kakne lose gasnu. Imi makshu, imi kakne lose gasnu, imi makshu. If you're makshu, if you're an adult, specifically if you're over 18, then ask for the makshu roll on Lojban, and I won't even say what will happen. Something you'll be missing out on some fun unless you get the makshu roll recommended. Or if you're not makshu, I didn't say anything. Who knows what I'm talking about? Imi makshu, imi kakne lose gasnu, imi makshu. The old Lojban chat that's bridged to various places. It's on Discord, Telegram, IRC, whatever. The old chat, I named it Shbobracha because it didn't have any name. It was just insisting that its name was the Lojban chat. It was like, well, we're making other Lojban chat. There's not going to be just one Lojban chat, so I think it needs like a name. So I named it Shbobracha, which was not an ironic name at the time. Shbobo Lojban, bra big, bar da big, and Chadu city, the Lojban big city. And at the time, it was the most popular forum for discussing in and about Lojban, so Shbobracha wasn't an ironic name at all. But now it is, because Shbobracha is the third most popular Lojban forum. There's two more popular discords than Shbobracha. There's the most popular one is Lojbanistan, which at Shbobracha there was a lot of chekshe going on. People were being quite critical of how people use Lojban and overly pedantic. Chekshe di patopa, or chekshe. And so since they were being so chekshe over at Shbobracha, some of us had to run away and make a place called Lojbanistan. Roll, and Jbo again, Guhe, Gugde country, all Lojban country, Lojbanistan. So it's all Lojban, like any kind of speaking Lojban is okay. Everyone's allowed and everything's okay, and we're gonna be nice, Lojbanistan. And so Lojbanistan has content in Lojban and in English, and in mixed Lojban and English, and lessons in English, and so that's a good place to go to get started. And then once you speak enough Lojban, to as soon as you can stand to, come to the all Lojban Discord that's newer. It's quite new right now, in fact. Shkafabarsha, that's coffee bar, cafe. Shkaf, and then barsha, a place where drinks are served. A barsha includes the cafe or a bar, or where they or if they serve Monaco Plus or whatever. They're all barsha. Shkafabarsha. It's the Shkafabarsha. La Shkafabarsha, the new Discord, is named after one of the oldest things in Lojban, which was nobody spoke Lojban and they were scared to, and they were like, come on, we can do it. How about if we like role play together? Let's write some stories all in the same setting. They'll all be in the same coffee, in the same cafe. I keep calling it coffee bar, which is not even an English thing, but Coffee bar means cafe, is what that means. Coffee bar. So let's have they're all set in the same cafe. So they had the Coffee bar. If you see people talking about the Coffee bar, it's the one, and there's that one in that story. The traditional stories. There's a few different stories that people wrote. I remember there's axes crossed over the door and stuff. It's fun. The Shkafa Barsha is fun. It's a place. It's the sort of place where you go, and there's just like big long tables, and everybody's hanging out, chatting with everybody. Very friendly place to Shkafa Barsha, and also the new virtual Shkafa Barsha Discord is very friendly, and you should go there even if you don't speak much Lojban yet. It'll be fine. You'll be a little confused and overwhelmed, but that's what you need to get started learning. Klamburi means pun. Boha is a pun on how bohe sounds similar to bohi. Lojbanists are really into puns. Lojbanistan is full of puns. There's all sorts of klamburi. There's some idea that Lojban, by being unambiguous, would not have puns, but we show them by having extra puns. So there. A pun recently that people have been saying is this show is called Tumfakli'u, and there's also a word lihu that ends a quote. And also, I mean, I've also sometimes been calling it Tumfak, which is that's just in Lojban you don't always have to call things all of their names. You can just abbreviate the beginning of a name or part of a name, or change around a name and do fun things to it, whatever. As long as people understand you, you're good. So Tumfakli'u can also be called Tumfak, and lihu is a word that closes a quote. Like you can make a quote, you can quote some text by saying lu and then the text and then lihu. So people have been making the pun, the klamburi, that there's a similarity between saying the name of this show, Tumfakli'u, and the two words Tumfak Lihu, which the difference is that there's a pause between them. You hear the difference? Tumfakli'u, 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 Tumfakli'u. So you can say Lu Tumfakli'u. Lu Tumfakli'u is quoting the word Tumfak, versus Tumfakli'u is one word if it all goes together. So that's not a hilarious pun. But puns aren't hilarious in general, but we like them anyway. We like the klamburi. Klamburi, lu tumfakli'u, lihu, lohu, tumfak, lihu, lehu. I quoted in, since I wanted to just quote the string of words Tumfak, Lihu, Tumfak, end quote, which is that's not a sentence or a text or sense, that's just two words. So I quoted it with Lohu and Lehu. Lohu, Tumfak, Lihu, Lehu. Lohu, Tumfak, Lihu, Lehu. I know, it took me a long time to get used to Lohu and Lehu, so it's fine. there's all different kinds of quotes. There's lu lihu if it's a text, or there's lahau and lihu if it's the name of something. Like if the name of there was an old thing in Lojban called juhi lobapli, which is just a sentence fragment that says, "Hey Lojbanists," juhi is like pay attention, juhi lobapli, hey Lojban users. And so that if you wanted to refer to that, you can't say la juhi lobapli. That means hey, pay attention Lojbanists, and then you didn't end up saying the name, because you just said said to pay attention and then didn't say the name. So you have to put it inside a quote to make a whole sentence or phrase or whatever into a name. You have to quote it. So you can just say lahe, the referent of lahe lu juhi lobapli lihu, the referent of the quote juhi lobapli. But there's also a very nice pretty little word lahau, so you can say lahau juhi lobapi lihu. So that's fun. And then you can quote foreign things with zoi. You can quote anything with zoi. Just recently I made a YouTube video where I was talking about ASL, that's sign language, and so I was quoting some words in sign language by saying zoi khanche. I said khanche, hand. You can say whatever word you want to quote, but I just use khanche because I was quoting my hands moving, so to make it to help reinforce for the listener what it was I was quoting. I said khanche for the quote word, so I just said zoi khanche, and then moved my hands and the signs that I wanted to talk about, and then khanche again at the end of the quote. You can quote moving your hands or any sort of text in any sort of non-Lojban anything with those quotes. That's why you're allowed to use any word, because you can quote anything. All you need to do is make up a new word that isn't in the thing you're quoting, which should always be possible. If the thing is already established, then you can make a new word, unless the thing is infinitely long and contains all possible words. So that's the only thing you can't quote. We should have a special shmavo that means just all possible words. Since there's no way to quote it, then there's only one of it. That would be good to have a shmavo for. I'm half kidding. Zoho shuhi. Zoho means I'm kidding. Zoho nai means no, I'm serious. And Zoho shuhi is in between. So I like that one. I often Zohor shuhi in the ball. I'm often half kidding. But so was that all the kinds of quotes? I don't even know. Somebody probably just invented a new kind of quote right now. I really like how every time I read a story in Lojban, every story written in Lojban, go read all the stories written in Lojban and you'll see what I mean. They all quote differently. They all quote all different interesting ways. With Alice in Wonderland had quotes, and then inside it would have the say la Alice shusku, which Alice said, like inside of the quote, which is people mostly haven't done that since then. And then I really like how in Lachu's story, I believe it's called Nandu Tavla, isn't that story called Difficult Talk, Nandu Tavla? In Lojba's story, the quotes, some of the quotes are attitudinals, are used as quote words to quote the things people say, and the attitudinal that's used as the quote word is suggestive, explains about the story and adds to the story. I thought that was super cool. And those are just a couple examples. Every different one is different. So yeah, if you write a story in Lojban, make sure your quotes are weird, because apparently that's a thing. Toast gelnanba, gel from gelsha, to burn, nanba bread. You need something like gelsha, burn, because you might think zhukba. Zhukba translates as cook often, but it doesn't have that implication in English of cook by warming up. Like if you make a salad, in English you make a salad because you don't warm it unless you're warming it up, you're not cooking it. But in Lojban you totally zhukpa a salad. So saying that the bread is zhukpa wouldn't even say about it being heated up. So you need something about like burning or something. So that's why they put in a gel from gelfa to burn. Jalnanba. Burn bread, toast. Here's an example that Jean Be just said. For Jalnanba, Jean Be was talking to basically, they're talking about a coffee substitute thing called the Piro. And so Piro appears in the sentence as P, because they were talking about the Pero, and so the P refers to it. Ile mi mamta, my mother, shushik si taupa, explained about P. Fo lu, with this explanation, quote, Vrusi fatau lo duxe seljukpa gelnanba lihu. Vrusi, flavor, fatau lo duxe, excessively, seljukpa, cooked, Jalnanba, like too much cooked toast, overcooked toast. My mom explained about P with the quote, the flavor is like excessively cooked toast. Ile mi mamta shiksi taupa fo lu vrusi fatau lo duxe seljukpa Jalnanba lihu. Jalnanba, toast. In this Stakarni, I am teaching you using something called the Lojbanistan. That's what I call it. The compound beginning teaching method. Lujvo compound. Shvari begin. Shtusha teach. Taji method. Lojbanistan. The idea of the Lojbanistan is if we just skip over, like we could have a lesson where it's like Nanba means bread. Let's discuss the word for bread for a while. But if we just skip over that and we just say, okay, we're going to learn the word for toast. It's Jalnanba because it's burn bread. Then like the implicit in that is Nanba. You're gonna get Nanba. And Jalnan, so we're just gonna skip ahead to Jalnanba, and Nanba is just like implied, right? So that's how this is supposed to work. It's the Lojbanistan. We haven't had a lesson on what a taji is, a method. Taji, it's a very general word for like how you do a thing. So a taji, a method, and the way that I'm doing this is I'm starting with the Lujva. Lujva for Lujva. Lojbanistan. And then if you learn with the Lojbanistan, then you'll just be studying Lojban for a few weeks, and already you'll be saying words like Lojbanistan, and people will be like, wait, how are you speaking Lojban so good? You just started. But we're just skipping over the first level. Like we're just assume like everybody knows Nanba means bread. We're not even going to mention that. I'm not even going to mention that Nanba means bread. There's no reason I would mention over and over that Nanba means bread. We're just going to skip. That's not even going to happen. We're just going to skip over that Nanba means bread and go right to that Jalnanba means toast, because that's way more exciting. Because then we get Jalfa, burn. Excitement, burning is exciting. So then might as well just skip to there. Skip ahead to the burning. That's the idea with the Lojbanistan. Tumfakli'u, Lojbanistan mehezo tumfakli'u. Lojbanistan, and then I tagged Mehe, tags a name. Mehe it sounds like Shmenen name, so it's a bai that lets you tag. That's BAI, with the bai, Samaho, Lochmavo b'mahoy by. Those ones that you like stick in a thing. You just put in a thing, so you just put in a name. So I'm saying Shroshfastadaji mehe, tag a name, zo the word, Tumfakli'u, Shroshfastadaji mehe zo Tumfakli'u, Tumfakli'u, Ishroshfastadaji mehe zo Tumfakli'u. I kept saying Shroshfastadaji. I don't know if I meant to say that, but what Shroshfastadaji means is Jvo Lujvo Shfu Rich Rishfu. I mean, Rishfu is it's the meaning of rich. That's like a rich in whatever. It's richly something. To be rich for something is to like have it lots and in various ways and totally have it. Rishfu. So that makes sense too. Maybe I meant to say that. Shroshfastadaji, the Lujvo rich method. That's easier to say. You don't have to say all of Shroshfastadaji, the Lojban start teach method, or you could add the rich in also. Shroshfastadaji. Oh, that's awesome. Shroshfastadaji. Oh, what a nice language. This language is great. You're lucky to be learning such an awesome language. Okay, fine, I was wrong. They're having a conversation about it on Shkole. Once upon a time we used to have try to have a separate channel called Lojbanistan, Lojbanic Science, Saska Science, Lojbanistan, and we would be like, no, this is an advanced conversation, take it to the Lojbanistan channel, but that never worked. So basically just the way it works is that people discuss all sorts of advanced Lojban concepts in Shkole. It's all of the Shkolas, from a kindergarten Shkola up to graduate level Lojbanic studies PhD research Shkola, all in one place. So they're discussing right now whether a Kevna can in fact go through something, and I randa, I yield, I will radjihi, I will admit that okay, fine, a kevna cannot go through something. Apparently something that goes all the way through is, if there's another word for it other than odbo, you can call it a dolna. Dolna. I hear that even has a Rafsi dol. Someone proposed using the Rafsi dol for dolna, a hole, as in a hole all the way through, and kevna is just a hole, as in a cavity that does not make something into a torus. Okay. Radjihi means to accept, acknowledge, concede. Randa means to yield, to give way. So rad from randa, and then jinvi, to opine something, to say that something is true. So if you're radjihi, you give in and opine something. Like I'm radjihi that you can that a kevna is different than a dolna, and if you go I mean, it makes sense. It's very jbosarche, harmonious with Lojban. The English word was Lojbanic, and then for a while people said Lobakai, but Lobakai doesn't even add anything, because Kai is just from Shkashi, which Shkashi doesn't like add anything. To Shkashi is to have a quality, but that like doesn't add anything. It doesn't seem to add anything to the meaning if you don't already know that Lobakai was supposed to mean like Lojbanic, like Lojbani. So I instead thought of saying sarche, harmonious with Lojban. So I think I agree. I'd radjihi that it's jbosarche, harmonious with Lojban, that a whole that creates the topological difference of transforming something into a torus should be considered basically different, and from a Lojbanic perspective. That sounds good. Let's do it that way. Lojban is Lojban is not just one fixed thing that we invented long ago or that one person figured out. It's an ideal that we're approximating and approaching by exploring it together. And we sort of have to agree together about what the meanings of things will be, and sometimes that's difficult. But it works as long as we have the help of Zbodrida, the spirit, the fairy that helps Lojban, helps every Lojban learner to learn Lojban, and is helping you to understand this right now. So with Zbodrida's help, we will be able to make Lojban the awesomest, most Lojbani Lojban it can be. Tumfakli'u, i'ahosh bosarche fala Tumfakli'u. Tumfakli'u. Hopefully it's Lojbanic. Hopefully it's it's harmonious enough with Lojban how Tumfakli'u is. Tumfakli'u, i'ahosh bosarche fala Tumfakli'u.